Imagine you are standing on the riverbank, watching people trying to cross the turbulent waters. Some are genuinely struggling, giving their all to swim against the current. Meanwhile, others are flailing about, not even attempting to swim. As a compassionate person, your first instinct is to help, to extend a hand or throw a lifeline. But the more you help, the more you notice something alarming. Some of these people not only fail to cross the river, but don't even try. Worse yet, some, despite your help, seem resentful toward you for it. You step back and realize your good intentions are being abused. You are exhausted, drained by those who either do not want help or misuse it. It is then that you recall the teaching of Stoicism, to act with reason, not emotion, and to focus your energy where it will do the most good. The river in this case is life, and the people trying to cross it represent the various types of individuals we encounter on our path. Stoicism teaches us that while helping others is noble, it is equally important to recognize when our efforts are wasted. Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca remind us to be discerning about whom we offer our help to. Life is short, and our resources, time, energy, and compassion are limited. If we spend all our energy trying to help those who neither appreciate it nor benefit from it, we lose the opportunity to make a meaningful impact on those who truly need and deserve our support. This is a story about when to stop offering help to certain types of people. There are those who will drag you down, draining your energy and never valuing your efforts. While it may seem harsh, Stoicism teaches us that wisdom lies in knowing when to walk away. This isn't about cruelty or indifference, but about being wise enough to recognize that helping some people only worsens their problems, or, worse, harms you in the process. According to Stoic philosophy, we must think carefully before offering help. Choosing whom to help is not selfish. It is a way to protect ourselves from negative influences, ensuring our minds remain strong and calm. Let's find out if you are wasting your kindness on these people. 1. The ungrateful Stoic philosophy emphasizes the value of gratitude in life. A grateful person not only expresses appreciation for what they receive, but also maintains a deep connection of mutual support in society. An ungrateful person disrupts this balance, creating negativity and weakening the spirit of reciprocity. Ungrateful people often fail to recognize the value of what they have, always craving more and never feeling satisfied. So why does Stoic philosophy advise us to avoid helping the ungrateful? An ungrateful person not only refuses to express thanks, but may also make you feel that helping them is an obligation, not a voluntary act. Imagine you help someone, only to be met with a cold stare, silence, or even criticism that your help wasn't good enough. Your kindness is not only unappreciated, but becomes a source of pain and disappointment. As the famous Stoic philosopher Marcus Tullius Cicero said, "Gratitude is not only the greatest of virtues, but the parent of all others. Without gratitude, all good deeds are diminished." In the modern world, we often encounter such situations. Think of a colleague who constantly asks for help but never thanks or acknowledges your efforts. Or a family member who always expects financial support but never expresses gratitude or tries to improve their life. Such situations often leave us feeling stuck and drained. The question is, should we continue helping such people? Knowing our assistance only makes them more dependent and further from life's true values. Instead of spending time and energy on the ungrateful, seek out those who are grateful, who will use your help to move forward in life. This is the true way to spread the values of Stoic philosophy. When we help others, we often expect gratitude, not necessarily material rewards, but simple recognition of our efforts and goodwill. However, some people respond with anything but. Helping the ungrateful is like pouring water into a broken vase. No matter how much you pour, it will never hold water. Stoicism teaches us to act with kindness, not for recognition, but that doesn't mean we should allow ourselves to be drained by people who constantly ignore our help. In personal life, imagine a friend who borrows money from you. You lend it not because you expect anything in return, but because you care. Yet, when the time comes, they neither repay the debt nor express gratitude, and soon they ask to borrow again. This is a one-way street. Stoicism encourages us to help others when it aligns with reason and virtue, but we must also remember those who never appreciate it. In business, helping the ungrateful can lead to more work for you and no improvement in working relationships. That colleague will likely continue to rely on you without showing gratitude or mutual support. 2. The lazy. In Stoic philosophy, acting with purpose and using time wisely are fundamental to life. The renowned Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." And that is precisely why lazy people are not worthy of our help. Laziness is not mere inaction, it is a refusal to take meaningful action. Lazy people, instead of facing reality and fulfilling basic life responsibilities, choose the easiest path, avoiding, procrastinating, and surrendering to circumstances. The lazy not only harm themselves, but also waste the time and energy of others who genuinely want to help and motivate them to improve. A real-life example: a friend who constantly complains about life, work, or the difficulties they face. Every time you talk, their story revolves around their inability to find a way out. You listen patiently and even offer practical solutions, like looking for a new job, learning new skills, or changing their environment, but after a long time, you realize they haven't applied a single one of your suggestions. They just keep complaining, with no motivation to act. Why? Because they are accustomed to avoiding responsibility and expect others to save them from their problems. In the modern world, such people appear in various forms: someone who always waits for others to solve their problems, someone who constantly complains about circumstances but refuses to take steps to improve their life. A common example being people who are financially dependent on family or friends, always finding reasons to avoid life's challenges on their own. This not only drains others, but also causes such individuals to sink deeper into laziness. However, we must also ask, is their laziness innate, or is it a result of circumstances and upbringing? This leads to a broader question of ethics and responsibility. Should we always leave them, or is there another way to motivate them to change? Everyone must answer this for themselves, based on the specific situation. But one thing is clear: no one can save a lazy person if they do not want to save themselves. In conclusion, the lazy are those who refuse to grow, refuse to act, and betray the trust of others. Stoic philosophy teaches us to value our time and energy, not wasting it on those who don't deserve it. Ask yourself, are you helping a lazy person without causing any change? If so, stop, because your time is more valuable. Stoicism emphasizes personal responsibility and hard work. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught that every person is responsible for their own actions and growth. Helping someone who refuses to help themselves, who prefers to stay put rather than face challenges, is counterproductive. It's like pushing a car in neutral. No matter how much effort you apply, the car won't move without its own engine to propel it forward. In friendship, a lazy friend may always turn to you for help with projects, advice, or favors for success, relying on your efforts to avoid taking any action themselves. This hinders them from ever developing the initiative or discipline necessary for growth. In a professional setting, helping a lazy person can create an imbalance in the workplace. Others may notice that this person isn't contributing, while you take on their burden, breeding resentment, and worse, encouraging the lazy colleague to continue relying on others without developing their own skills or work ethic. 3. The irresponsible. In Stoic philosophy, responsibility is a key value. The irresponsible are not only those incapable of performing tasks properly, but also those who refuse to face the consequences of their actions, leaving others to suffer. Helping the irresponsible not only enables their behavior, but can also lead us away from peace and inner freedom. Irresponsible people fail to realize that their actions affect not only themselves, but entire communities. A modern example is those who break the law but avoid the consequences of their actions. They may drive recklessly, ignore rules, or evade civic duties, causing harm to innocent people. Unfortunately, this lack of responsibility is sometimes excused, and society ultimately pays the price. Stoic philosophy teaches us to be selective about whom we help. Helping an irresponsible person only allows them to continue down a path of immorality. This not only harms them, but also devalues our efforts and kindness. Helping a person who refuses to take responsibility does not contribute to their growth, but supports their stagnation and bad behavior. A common life example: irresponsible leaders, those who refuse to take responsibility for their decisions. When the entire team and company suffer, it leads to a loss of trust, confusion, and systemic collapse. Imagine if a leader didn't dare to admit their mistakes. Would the employees under them still trust them and do their best? Stoic philosophy does not teach us to abandon compassion. Similarly, Jesus once said, "Do not throw your pearls before swine." This means not to waste valuables on those who do not appreciate them. Help, kindness, and support are the pearls of life. If we offer them to irresponsible people, they will be ignored and wasted. Every action should be accompanied by responsibility. How can we expect progress if we are not prepared to take responsibility for our actions? The irresponsible not only reject personal accountability, but also destroy the bonds of trust and mutual understanding in society. Instead of helping, sometimes the best approach is to create opportunities for them to learn to take responsibility. Helping an irresponsible person is like trying to build a house on quicksand. No matter how well you build, the foundation will always crumble under the weight of poor decisions. Stoicism calls us to act with wisdom and foresight, qualities often lacking in irresponsible people. They do not learn from their mistakes and, worse, often drag others into the chaos they create. In family life, helping an irresponsible brother or relative might mean constantly bailing them out of bad decisions. You might think you're offering support, but in reality, you are enabling their irresponsibility. By constantly intervening to solve their problems, you deprive them of the need to face the consequences of their actions, which hinders their growth. In the workplace, a boss or colleague who regularly fails in their duties may rely on you to fix the consequences. While you might help once or twice out of good intentions, constantly covering their mistakes drains you. Stoics believed in self-discipline and personal responsibility. People who repeatedly demonstrate irresponsibility do not embody these virtues, and helping them contributes little to their personal growth. 4. The manipulators. Have you ever felt manipulated, whether at work, in your family, or even in close relationships? These people rarely make direct demands, but, through skillful manipulation of emotions and situations, make us follow their will without even realizing it. Stoic philosophy, which emphasizes self-control and not letting negative emotions overwhelm us, holds that helping manipulators can be one of the biggest mistakes we can make. Looking at real examples, it becomes clear that many public figures have fallen into the trap of manipulators. One striking case is Britney Spears. Her own father controlled her life and finances for years, making decisions about her work and personal life. This manipulation not only deprived her of freedom, but also caused significant psychological harm. It led to the Free Britney movement, where millions supported her quest to free herself from her father's authoritarian control. In such a situation, was it right to support her father, the manipulator? Stoic philosophy teaches us to base our relationships on values and goals, our beliefs, thoughts, and emotions. Clearly, helping someone like Brittany's father only strengthens the manipulator's power, while the victim, like Brittany, loses their legitimate voice and autonomy. Our kindness, according to Stoic philosophy, should be accompanied by wisdom and clarity. When facing a manipulator, emotions can blind us. We must see them for who they truly are. Another example is relationships, in which one person constantly controls and manipulates the other. They use emotions to keep the other in a dependent state, creating a sense of fear of loss or guilt if their desires are not met. If we continue such a relationship, are we helping them or harming ourselves in the end? Stoic philosophy teaches that true freedom lies in controlling our own minds and actions. Helping manipulators only deprives us of this freedom. Our help should not turn us into victims of exploitation, but should promote positive growth for both parties. Manipulators use others for their own benefit, twisting situations to their needs while pretending to act in your interests. Helping a manipulator is like handing the keys to your house to a thief. They will use your resources for their own gain, leaving you with nothing. Stoicism teaches us to value honesty and integrity, but manipulators operate on deception and self-interest. In relationships, manipulative people can play on your emotions, making you feel guilty if you don't help them. They position themselves as victims, using your kindness. Over time, their covert control can erode your self-worth and agency. Stoics warned us against those who distort our goodwill for their own benefit, as this undermines our ability to act rationally and with kindness. At work, manipulators often flatter or pressure you into doing tasks that should be their responsibility. Once the work is done, they take all the credit, leaving you only with a feeling of exhaustion. Helping manipulators only strengthens their ability to exploit others and weakens your own capacity to act with integrity. 5. The chronic critics. Have you ever felt overwhelmed by people who, no matter what you do or how hard you try, always find a reason to belittle and devalue your efforts? Stoic philosophy teaches us how to understand and deal with such people. Who are the chronic critics? Chronic critics are those who always look for faults, no matter how small, in others. Their intention is not to make a positive contribution, but to suppress others, making their targets feel inadequate. Stoic philosophy teaches us to distinguish between constructive and negative criticism. Constructive criticism comes from people with good intentions who sincerely want to help you improve. Chronic criticism, on the other hand, is born of negativity. You may wonder why they do this. The reason is that these people typically lack self-confidence and are dissatisfied with themselves. When they see others succeeding or achieving something positive, they immediately feel threatened or inadequate. This leads them to criticize, not to help others improve, but to pull them down to their own level. If you try to help them, will they actually change, or will they continue their cycle of negativity? The truth is, you cannot change someone who does not want to change. Chronic critics are not interested in your help because their goal is not improvement, but maintaining a sense of superiority through criticism. Consider leaders in a work environment. Good leaders offer useful advice to help their employees improve and grow. In contrast, a leader who constantly criticizes, pointing out everything that's wrong without providing specific guidance, will not help the team move forward. They demoralize. Stoic philosophy teaches us to be selective about who deserves our time and energy. It teaches us to guard ourselves against external negative influences. Chronic critics are a prime example of people we cannot control. They are not worth investing our efforts in because they do not seek change, but only wish to maintain their negative outlook on life. We must learn to refuse help to those who only bring negativity. Preserve your kindness for those who truly deserve it, for those who are willing to change and grow. Chronic critics are not to be saved. Your help should go to those who value it and use it to become better. Chronic critics find fault in everything, regardless of effort or good intentions. Helping these people is like planting seeds in toxic soil. No matter how well you care for them, the environment will never allow anything to grow. Stoicism emphasizes constructive feedback and the importance of personal improvement. But chronic critics are not interested in improvement. They only seek to undermine. In friendship, chronic critics can constantly belittle your ideas or efforts, even when you are helping them. They criticize the way you did something, finding faults where none exist. This behavior drains your energy and makes you doubt your worth. Stoicism teaches us to remain focused and centered on what we can control. But when a person's primary mode of interaction is to tear down rather than build up, offering them help only invites further negativity. In the workplace, helping a chronic critic often leads to frustration. No matter how well you perform a task, they will find something wrong with it. Constructive criticism is one thing, but chronic criticism is rooted in the pleasure of finding flaws rather than fostering improvement. Stoicism teaches us to act for the common good, but the constant negativity of a chronic critic only creates an atmosphere of dissatisfaction and resentment. 6. The narcissists. Have you ever wondered if it's worth helping those who see themselves as the center of the universe, caring only for themselves and ignoring others? Narcissists don't just crave attention, they expect the world to revolve around them. According to Stoic philosophy, helping narcissists is pointless and can even be harmful to you. Narcissists are often so immersed in their self-importance that they become incapable of admitting mistakes or confronting their flaws. They want to hear only praise and turn away from anyone who dares to criticize or advise them. This makes any external help meaningless, as it is not accepted with an open mind ready for growth. Imagine trying to help someone understand they need to change their approach to succeed. Instead of listening, they convince themselves their way is already perfect. Would you still want to help? Stoic philosophy teaches us to focus on what is within our control. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Helping a narcissist won't change their view of themselves or the world. Instead, their inflated ego not only diminishes the value of your help, but also reinforces their stubbornness and arrogance. In the modern world, narcissists appear in various settings, from personal relationships to public situations. They dominate conversations and turn every situation into a stage to display their false self. A narcissistic friend often overshadows others, constantly boasting about their achievements and rarely showing interest in the feelings or contributions of others. As a result, relationships become unbalanced and distant, as friends no longer feel valued in the eyes of the narcissist. Stoic philosophy advises us to remain rational and avoid engaging with their arrogance. No amount of kindness or support will ever fill the void inside them. Narcissists do not seek change or growth. They seek unconditional admiration. Therefore, be cautious in deciding whom to help. Remember that true help is not just about giving, but guiding others to realize the right path. Narcissists, with their closed hearts and proud minds, may not be receptive to this guidance. They do not deserve your efforts. 7. The opportunists. Opportunists are not only ungrateful, but constantly seek to take advantage of others, even in the most difficult situations. For such people, offering help is not only a waste, but a way to encourage unethical behavior. Stoic philosophy teaches us that true value lies in living according to moral principles and preserving virtue. Opportunists do not live by the values of sincerity and honesty. They use the help of others solely to achieve their personal goals, without regard for those who support them. Opportunists often appear in situations where credit is due, present only to profit from the success of others. For example, in the workplace, an opportunist might avoid all meetings, shirk duties, but when success comes, they are the first to stand up and claim the reward. They build nothing but always know how to reap the fruits of others' labor. The question is, should we help someone who seeks only personal gain, contributing nothing to the common cause? If you continue to help them, are you actually encouraging their unethical behavior? When we help an opportunist, we not only see no positive change, but also waste valuable opportunities. In fact, we often encounter opportunists not only at work, but in everyday life. In community activities, we often see opportunists who show up when they see personal benefit, but quickly disappear when real commitment is required. Ultimately, opportunists do not deserve our help. They are not only ungrateful, but also abuse the kindness of others. Stoic philosophy teaches that kindness and help should be used responsibly. The best way to help an opportunist is to stop allowing them to exploit our kindness. Thus, we force them to face the consequences of their actions. In the end, kindness and help are truly valuable only when given to the right people. If we spend time and effort helping opportunists, we are only encouraging unethical behavior. We must not only protect ourselves, but also preserve the noble values we uphold. 8. The envious. Stoic philosophy teaches us not to waste energy on what is unworthy, especially when dealing with negative personality types like the envious, those full of resentment and comparisons. These people do not deserve help. Envious people often cannot find joy in the success of others. Instead, they feel bitterness when others advance further than they do. This not only harms them, but can also negatively affect those around them. Envy is a kind of poison that destroys inner peace and blinds people to their own worth, as they constantly compare themselves to others. Envious people not only harm themselves, but also create insecurity and negativity in the lives of those around them. The first thing to understand is that when you try to help an envious person, your efforts will be in vain. They will not appreciate your help. On the contrary, they may feel that you are establishing a power distance, highlighting their weaknesses. Envious people often fail to realize that the problem lies within themselves. Instead, they blame others for their own suffering. Therefore, even with the best intentions, the envious may see your support as a challenge. The example of Steve Jobs and John Sculley serves as a vivid illustration of the damage caused by envy. Jobs invited Sculley to Apple, hoping to develop the company together. Instead of appreciating and learning from Jobs, Sculley felt threatened by his talent and ultimately ousted Jobs from the company he founded. However, Sculley's envy led to a poor decision, as Jobs later returned to Apple and turned it into one of the largest companies in the world. This shows that helping the envious can lead to negative consequences. Sometimes the best approach is to maintain distance to protect yourself and your inner peace. It's like pouring water into a cup with a hole. You cannot truly help an envious person, because the negativity within them will always leak out, no matter how hard you try. Instead of focusing on them, better to invest your time and energy in helping those who appreciate it and strive to develop. In the end, Stoic philosophy teaches us that helping others is a worthy pursuit, but we must choose the right people to protect our own balance and peace. What do you think about this? Is there someone in your life you consider unworthy of your help? Remember, true strength lies not only in kindness, but also in wisdom. Stoic philosophy teaches us that our energy and time are limited, and we must guard them against negative people. Some people, no matter how sincere you are, will not appreciate your help and may even harm you. The ungrateful, the lazy, the irresponsible, the manipulators, the chronic critics, the narcissists, the opportunists, and the envious all have internal conflicts that only they can resolve. Our intervention not only fails to help them, but can also harm us. Remember, kindness does not mean sacrificing your inner peace. Sometimes, refusing to help is the best way to protect your values and maintain balance in life. Reserve your support for those who value it and are willing to change. It's better for both you and them.